Welcome to No Such Thing as a Bad Movie. I'm 8-foot Mansky, and I'm here today with...
I forgot a spooky name.
I'm here today with...
Justin Daboo. Old favorites. Yeah.
And?
Was I Coffin Cunningham?
Yeah, Colin the Creature Cunningham.
That we'll have to do.
Colin Cunning Rottenham.
Man, April, she thought that one out because she's like 8 foot. Wait, so you're 8 feet tall. Does that mean you're scary? Or you're just like,
I
you're
feel
very
like
tall?
if I was an 8-foot man, I would be scary.
Okay.
Or just 8
sure.
feet in general.
Who skied.
Yeah, 8-foot man skiing.
Yeah, that's horrifying.
Coming at you down a hill? Yeah.
Oh my God, you got to get out of the way.
Well,
I can't stop.
I'm 8 feet tall.
Yeah, the 8 foot tall April is constantly telling us how tall she is.
Yeah.
Hello, my name's April 8 foot tall Mansky. All right, I get it. I can see you.
April, this is your pick.
Yes. So it's Halloween. I promised that we would do something spooky because we didn't last week. Maybe it can go into November. Who knows? But
all right, we'll drag it out.
So this week's movie is a little movie from 2002, and I mean little, called Ghost Ship.
Ooh.
All right, who's gonna make the ghost shit joke first? Colin, April.
I didn't even think of that. That's your Letterboxd review, right?
Yeah, ghost shit.
Most people would know this movie probably from the poster because it's like a big ship that looks like the Titanic with a big skull on it. Ooh.
I mean, I kept waiting the whole movie. I'm like, when's the ship going to turn into a ghost and start eating people? When's it happening? And then it never did. What the hell, man?
False advertising. That ship at no point has a mouth on the front.
It's the same poster as Death Ship, which is a Canadian movie.
Yeah, I just saw that.
It's the exact same thing.
They ripped it off. And the tagline is...
it's see evil, SEA. Like you're seeing evil, but the sea... That's terrible. That's not even...
Yeah,
really
that's
bad.
a good first idea. Let's spend all night to try to figure something else that's better.
Yeah, it's got to have something
to
like...
the next day, see evil.
Like something like See Evil.
So,
See Evil, good for everybody?
Yeah. That sounds good. Sure. Good, got it. So my history with this movie... came out.
You were trapped on a ship.
Oh no! So it came out in 2002. So I saw it when I was in high school, and I think I'm not entirely sure, but I think I saw this because I was on a Gabriel Byrne kick.
Wait, what?
I had a bit of a crush on Gabriel Byrne.
Wait. Based on what? Did you see The Usual Suspect? And you're like, I wish he was my suspect.
You know what it's based on? I think Stigmata.
Oh, End of Days, where he plays the devil.
Also a little bit of
Burns.
End of Days because he is. I think I saw End of Days after Stigmata.
Not like Miller's Crossing or anything like that.
I didn't even know he was in that. I haven't seen it. So none of his good movies.
So really, you went, man, I love Gabriel Byrne in Stigmata. Give me some Ghost Ship. I'm sure he's sexy in that one too.
He is. Stigmata again. Like I think it came out around this time. I think it was a little earlier, maybe 2000. I don't know. Which is. Not a very good movie, but it's a movie that me and my friends watched a lot when we were younger, and we loved it.
Is that with Patricia Arquette?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that. It honestly could be on the show.
It's a Chuck Russell joint.
Oh, dang.
But I really, really liked it, and it has a very similar feel to this movie, which is that kind of early 2000s horror, like super cool kind of
super slick almost.
Yeah, there's like
I feel there weren't enough
it.
flash frames in Ghost Ship. I'm sure there were a lot in Stigmata though.
There were, but there could have been more in Ghost Ship. But anyway, so
they use them all up for 13 ghosts. They're like, that's it. No more flash frames.
I think I watched Ghost Ship because of that. Either that or I just caught it on TV one night. I'm not sure, but. I mean, skipping ahead a little bit here, there's a sequence in this movie that I think is like a masterpiece. And I was completely obsessed with this 4-minute sequence in this movie. And so much so that I found the song and downloaded it and put it on a burnt CD. Because you know how back in the day you would make it instead of a mixtape, it would be like a burnt MP3 CD.
Yeah.
Wait. Were you obsessed with the like Looney Tune style flashback near the end of the movie?
Yes,
that's
right.
She
was.
That sequence is so funny. And I had so
good.
many questions as well, including how like you have to get someone in position so a spike can hit them in the face just perfectly.
He was a devil person.
He was the devil.
He wasn't.
All right. I don't want to spoil it. I want to get there because I have a lot of questions about the big reveal of this movie.
Me too. So my history with this movie. It isn't. It's very brief. It's not as long as April's. But my friends were obsessed with it, and they kept telling me to watch Ghost Ship. Watch Ghost Ship. Watch Ghost Ship. I'm like, oh, give me
Please,
a break.
Colin.
No.
Our souls will be able to finally go to hell if you watch Ghost
shocked.
Ship.
And so I think, they went to their cottage, and then I finally watched it. I'm like, fine, I'm going to watch it on Netflix or something. And then I texted them after the first scene, the opening scene, which is my favorite scene, my favorite part of the movie.
It's everyone's favorite scene.
which is by far the best part of the movie. And I texted them after that scene. I'm like, this is fucking amazing. You guys were right. And then I think I texted them an hour later, and I'm like, this sucks.
It does suck. The movie sucks, but there's a couple of good scenes.
It starts on such
Really
a high,
good.
though.
Exactly.
Wait. I need to tell my history as well, is that I saw 13 Ghosts, didn't like it, read a review, which was Ghost Ship. The great first scene is good, the rest is boring. Never watched Ghost Ship. That's my history.
Well, Justin, what is the connection between this and 13 Ghosts? Because
these are all Dark Castle Productions, which was a production company started by Joel Silver, seemingly to do horror films and remakes, like House on Haunted Hill, 13 Ghosts,
they were
House
going to
of
remake.
Wax.
They were going to remake all the William Castle movies, and I think Ghost Ship turned out to be the first original one that they did. They actually wrote like a new story for it. So 13 Ghosts and House on Haunted Hill were all remakes.
And we saw the logo at the beginning of the movie, Dark
the Dark
Castle.
Yeah. And this was the same director as 13 Ghosts, Steve Beck.
He never directed again.
Never directed again.
He's a big commercial guy, which you can tell by said sequence I've previously mentioned.
Yeah, so he was like a commercial director. He worked at ILM as a visual effects art director on a few movies, like Hunt for Red October, The Abyss, and
The Abyss,
blah, blah, blah.
yeah, some big ones.
He directed 2 movies and never directed again after Ghost Ship.
He directed commercials and music videos, though, so he's
Yeah,
still
because he was like, I said everything I have to say with Ghost Ship.
And 13 Ghosts. And
13 Ghosts.
The writer of this movie never wrote another movie afterwards. So
Again, I said everything I have to say. I looked to see if it had been a giant bomb, and it wasn't. It made like $30 million, so it was fine.
Yeah, it did pretty well.
I mean, I think it's one of those, I'm guessing, lower budget, mid-budget horror movies where kids or teenagers or people, I want to see a horror movie. Ghost Ship, it's got a skull on the cover. Let's go see it. I can see it getting people in the theater.
I'd be curious as to why they stopped making horror films, because like everyone my age, and I've talking to people, that I've met like recently, and they were also obsessed with Dark Castle films as a kid, because no other studio was kind of pumping out this kind of movie that was so almost proud to be a horror film. There was always shame, like post-Scream shame.
Yeah, but it wasn't, I think they actually put enough money into them that they kind of classed them up a bit. And, you know, 13 Ghosts is by no means a good movie, but, the production design is fantastic. Like that house set is amazing.
I think that this movie as well has a lot of very good production design.
Good production
Yes,
design.
there is some bad effects, but there's also some really good effects.
Same with House on Haunted Hill. Like they weren't going for that kind of super low budget teen movie where it's just like we have a bunch of teens in a house or something like that.
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah, they were more kind of
tier.
classical horror movies, I guess you could say.
You know why they stopped making these movies? I bet you Robert Zemeckis, who was a producer on this, just got bored and just didn't want to make any more.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, to mention we saw his name in the credits. Like, Robert Zemeckis.
That's
and
weird.
He's a producer. He's not even like an executive producer, which seems to indicate he was involved in the production.
Well, yeah, that's what I sort of like. Was he attached at one point to do one of these movies?
No,
and then...
he was always attached with Joel Silver related stuff because Robert Zemeckis was an executive producer on Tales from the Crypt, and I feel this was kind of like related to it. Like it wasn't Tales from the Crypt movies, but it was a project he was doing with Joel Silver that was in that horror realm.
Right. Well, man, I wish this was a Tales from the Crypt because at least it would have been fun.
This movie would have been so much better if it was a short film or a piece of an anthology movie. It would have been fantastic.
It could have been good. And it's like when I was like watching it, I just kept thinking about Deep Rising and how much I'd rather be watching Deep Rising.
Because what's interesting about Deep Rising is if you watch it recently, like not much happens in that movie, but the characters are fun.
Yeah.
And
the sense
you
of
have
fun.
Treat Williams,
he's the best.
charismatic dynamo leading the way.
Yeah.
So that movie's fun, while this one, when nothing's happening, nothing's really happening.
Yeah, also
even though
the characters are not that interesting.
No, they're so boring.
Yeah.
Even though that they're all like famous TV people, because you have
Carl Urban.
You have Carl Urban. You have the nurse from ER, Juliana Margulies. She's like the main person.
She's in the Good Wife. She's actually really famous for that. If you watch that show, which I don't, but that's like she's the wife.
Isaiah Washington is another like big TV person. He was on Grey's Anatomy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. And this guy, Ron Eldard, I always confuse him. I always think he's like a fake Dennis Leary. He looks
exactly like Dennis Leary. He's like the guy that looks like Bill Maher that stars in the Brian De Palma films.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right.
He doesn't look that much.
He
like
looks
Bill Maher.
No. I mean, he's one of those guys that looks like
Bill Watterson?
a C-list comedian.
Yeah, he looks like kind of Tim Roth and Dennis Leary mixed together. And you've seen him. He was the I think Ellie Fanning's dad in Super 8. So he's got this like long blonde hair with like these sort of pointy sideburns.
Talking about Chris Wasserson, is that his name?
That was from
That's the De Palma guy.
Yeah,
the guy body double
from Ghost Story.
Body double, yeah.
And Ghost Story, another good ghost story. That movie's great.
We forgot to mention superstar Emily Browning, star of Sucker Punches, in this movie
yeah,
as well.
that's right. I saw her name in the credits. I'm like, gosh, she's not part of the crew. And then I saw her in the very first scene.
Okay, let's talk about the first scene though, because that's the big one that everybody remembers.
It's the big one. Well, first of all, I mean, I liked it immediately. As soon as the music starts, it starts off with like the sort of romantic, cheesy, like the Love Boat theme and like the...
Yeah, and it's like tongue-in-cheek. It almost looks like a 50s like romantic comedy. The font
yeah,
of Ghost Ship is
the
all
font is very like flowery.
And it's like pink.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I didn't see all these like rich people.
April right from the get-go, she's like, ah!
I pulled a Hubie.
So it's all these rich people kind of partying on this boat. I guess it's in the 60s or something like that.
It's supposed to be like 63 or something.
I think so, yeah. You can tell by the fashions. And there's like this sort of Italian singer dressed in a red dress.
She totally looks like Italian Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
I think that's what they were going for.
And everybody's dancing and having a great time. And then you see Emily Browning. She's very young in this movie. This is probably like the youngest she's been on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Was she in Lemony Snicket?
Yep, she was in Lemony Snicket.
She was, okay.
Yeah, so she was a child actor for sure.
Yeah, so she's kind of on her own, and she's got this little, I don't know, this like little word puzzle or something, and she's spelling out, I'm bored. Everybody's dancing, having a great time, and then you kind of see this hand manipulating this metal cable or something like that, and it snaps and cuts through everybody.
And very, very good sound design in this theme because this part, because it's like the music like stops and then like everyone's like frozen for a second and then you start to hear the sound effects of like body parts falling. It's very similar to the beginning of Cube, one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Don't you mean Resident Evil, where very similar scenes happen?
Oh, right.
The first one?
Oh, with the lasers.
Yeah, the laser room.
No, I didn't see that. I only saw whatever shit sequel we watched.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Oh, how dare you!
So this
Resident Evil Apocalypse is a great movie.
This is really great. Everybody starts falling apart, and there's one cut. It's so funny. It's like this old man. He looks like the Monopoly Man or something like that, and he's dancing with his wife. And he was kind of cut midsection, but then his pants just fall.
Yeah, what was up with that?
That's confusing. It's like to add insult to embarrassment.
They are yanked down. It looks like somebody off screen pulled them down.
And this scene is like real gross. It's the kind of scene that only someone with a lot of money can get past the MPAA.
Oh yeah,
because it's like blood is everywhere. Like a woman who's cut in half tries to put like her body back together.
Yeah, she's like, and her hand is like twitching and stuff like that. And Emily Browning is too short, so the wire kind of goes over her head. And
I think she's dancing. Is it the captain?
I think it's the captain.
And then his head, it gets half his head.
He's like, oh, and his head splits into two pieces.
Yeah, like his head is cut in half. And,
I was hoping it would cut to a tech on the boat being like, oh shit, I fucked up.
Raise the sail, Captain.
Yeah.
Captain.
They're really gonna dock my pay this time.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it for
That's the end of the movie.
things.
Ghost ship pops up.
Fantastic
Some corn
opening.
music plays. The end.
For another 40 minutes, it doesn't get interesting for like another 30 minutes.
Quote unquote.
Well, we're
interesting.
introduced to our crew of all those actors we already mentioned.
Yeah.
Gabriel Byrne doing what he does for most of the movie, sitting back, not trying too hard.
And hey, he's got his original accent, which I appreciated because I'm not saying his American accent is terrible, but like I just like to just let him be Irish. His character's name is Murphy, so you know.
Captain Murphy from C Lab 2020.
Ooh, classic. Sequest.
Deep Submersible.
No, Sea Lab.
Submersible.
Are you talking about Sea Lab 2021? Or is that the, that's the cartoon?
The Adult Swim cartoon?
Yeah, it's Sea Lab 2021.
Oh, man.
I don't know.
You know what's funny? Just today I bought a bunch of DVDs of Space Ghost Coast to Coast and Harvey Birdman.
Oh, that is funny. That's a big
Reliving that Adult Swim life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love those days. So he's got a kind of ragtag crew of salvage. So, what are they?
Boat salvagers.
Boat salvagers. So they're kind of in the middle of saving this sinking boat.
Yeah, so I like the scene, except it's kind of unclear what anybody does or what the point of it was. They're like, we gotta save this boat. We've been, hunting it for months. And all they do is like weld a plate to something.
But she zip lines to the boat.
Yeah, Isaiah Washington's like, you gotta get back here. We got a few minutes left. And then she's like, I'm not letting I think they raised it off the seafloor or something like that. I don't know.
It's going back down.
She's like, I'm not letting this boat, get out of my hands. And then she
I can't lose this boat.
Yeah, she jumps into the water and I guess like welds this plate on.
It's weird that they didn't like have someone trapped in it or something like that, because it seems more like, who cares?
I still wasn't like clear, like who are they and what do they do?
No, I had no idea.
And I know that they each have their own jobs, but it's not made clear to unless you know about boats.
Well, I guess it's like Carl Urban, doesn't look anything like Carl Urban in this movie, and has this weird accent,
unrecognizable.
Yeah.
As you may know, he's famous right now for being in The Boys, and if you look at him in The Boys and in this, it looks like a completely different person, and it sounds like a completely different person.
Yeah, he's got this American accent, but it's very odd. It's very suspicious.
He plays William Butcher in The Boys. That's terrible. You do it better.
Oh.
Do a William Butcher impression.
I'm not a performing monkey, April.
Yeah, I was gonna say, April. Come on, poor Colin.
Sorry.
Yeah,
He needs to be primed, like a performing monkey before he can go out on stage.
Well, Carl Urban, featured in previous episode Chronicles of Riddick.
Yeah.
I wonder like what's the most reoccurring actor in the episodes that we've done.
Adam Sandler.
Yeah,
it's probably got to
be. If you include the Patreons, yes.
Yes. Carl Urban, he's there, doesn't have much to do.
He's like a welder. It's very vague.
I guess.
But Isaiah Washington is something. What is he? The pilot?
He seems to like drive the boat.
Santos.
No. Santos drives. Oh fuck! I do not know.
Yeah,
they all seem to do everything.
Yeah. So anyway, they are tugging a ship. They have this like tugboat called the Arctic Warrior. And they're pulling this thing to shore, and I guess they sell it. But whose boat was it?
I guess it's just like they say later. It's in international waters. The scrap metal is just up for grabs.
Okay, so they just raise these boats,
but the thing is,
tug them to shore.
Well, maybe because they're so far out, they can do that. But
yeah,
like scuba divers like to explore wrecks. Like you can turn that into like a tourist attraction. So I don't know if you're allowed to just take wrecks up and
well, it depends what it is. If it's
guess,
like a declared wreck site, I guess I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
But they're hard. I'm not a treasure hunter. I don't know how these things work.
That was a past life. I haven't thought about that in a long
time. I haven't been treasure hunting in years. I'm going to go down to my closet and there's going to be like my old treasure hunting outfit, scuba tank. Scuba tank. All the old scuba gear.
The light kind of like falls upon it.
My bathysphere.
Well, anyway, so they rescue this boat, and it's like a very boring action sequence, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And they get back to shore, and they're having beers, and
they're at this like nautical bar. It's cute. They are throwing money around. They're, I guess, like splitting their share of the boat, but they
got paid cash.
They're throwing like wads of cash at one another. I'm like, guys, you're surrounded by these like scurvy sailors.
Yeah,
put the money away.
So now we get introduction of the new character, who I think his name is Jack Ferriman. Okay, so he's famous because he was on the TV show Dexter, and I was a big Dexter fan. I was obsessed with it until it got absolutely terrible, and the last season is like some of the worst television I've ever seen.
I've never seen this guy before.
So he plays Quinn on Dexter.
I watched like 4 seasons of Dexter, but I did not recognize him.
Oh, he doesn't come in until later, but I think he's in the.
Is he like Dexter's like evil serial killer
No.
brother? Or something like
I
that?
think he's definitely in the third.
Dennis.
I think he comes in the third season. No, he's one of
Dennis and Dexter.
He's one of the cops.
No, his name is Fletcher. Dexter Fletcher.
His name is Quinn, and he plays one of the cops, and he's really good on that show. And other than at the end of this movie, he's really bad in this movie.
Well, I think you realize, I guess, it's intentional because he's very sort
acting bad intentionally.
Yeah, but that never really works though, because you know, this guy, he's so bland and emotionless. And you know, it's like
boring.
Oh geez, oh
He's
no,
like,
that's
hey,
terrible.
I want to. I'm a pilot, and I found this boat, and I heard you guys are the best.
He's channeling Dan Haggerty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Old period Dan Haggerty and elves. Like,
Exactly.
I wish it was Dan Haggerty.
Oh, I totally. That'd be
Dan
amazing.
Haggerty could totally play this role. I could see it now. He looks like he's at least would belong to this world.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. He would like stroll up in that you know, semen bar.
Oh, we're very mature around here.
So he kind of comes to them. It turns out he's like a Canadian Air Force pilot, or he works for the weather service or something. And he's showing them pictures. He kind of like, you know, sees them tossing around piles of money, comes over and he shows them a picture of this boat, this ship, which we don't realize yet is the ship from the opening. The ghost ship, if you will.
Wait, you didn't realize? This must be some unrelated ship that they're going to go check.
It's an old black and white photo. I can't tell. So yeah, he comes up to them and he says, look, you know, it's in international waters. I kind of spotted it. I did a flyby, couldn't communicate with them. So if you guys, you know, give me 20% of the thing, I'll let you know where this boat is. And they're like, you know, we got to have a team huddle.
And then they say, we want...
we'll give you 10%.
Yeah, we want 90%. And he's like, no way.
He goes, oh, I can't let you take advantage. Okay, I'll come along.
Only
Okay,
if I'm
take
allowed to
%.
come along, which makes no sense. But it's at this point that they say they've been saving that other ship for 6 months. They've been on a 6-month trek, and they decided to do one more big score before the guy goes home to get married. It's like, that would never happen in real life. He'd been away from his wife for 6 months, and then... Well, I guess it's established later that maybe he's not ready to get married.
Oh.
But anyway, they go and they get the ghost ship. And again,
They get the ghost
And
ship.
that's how
We
the story
gotcha.
ends.
Give us our money.
this next section is, again, really boring because it's just like ship stuff. It's just like they find the ship. They're loading onto the ship. They're loading cargo. They're rappelling onto it, and it doesn't get interesting again until they actually start exploring it, and you go into
but that's
these
when you get the
creepy
ghosties,
rooms.
when Emily Browning is just kind of wandering around the ship being like, boo.
This has got to be the least scary horror movie I've seen in a very long time.
I have a movie for you called Death Ship, which has way more wandering through the ship than Ghost Ship does.
But it doesn't even feel that when you see the ghosts in this ghost ship, that they're even meant to be scary.
Well, it's a different tone.
I mean, you learn at the end that most of them are not.
It's a different tone, though. The movies at the time, at this time,
Movies at the time.
weren't meant to be as scary. And okay,
What?
I know this
I don't
sounds
know about
stupid,
that.
but like, I guess it depends how. If you were maybe a really, really little kid and you saw this, you would find it scary. But case in point, the opening scene, it's supposed to be scary, but it's not. It's silly. It comes off, but it doesn't come off like a comedy. It comes off more like you find joy by seeing this ridiculous violence because it is ridiculous.
The conversation here is like, if you're expecting something to terrify you, you go like, what was the last film that terrified you? People will be like, The Exorcist. And it's like, yeah, that film came out like 30 years ago. Hereditary? That movie's pretty funny as well and goofy.
I actually was thinking Hereditary is probably the last movie that really scared me.
But this movie, it doesn't, nothing, maybe it's just the cinematic language the director uses, but nothing comes off as meaning to be scary, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, when we get to the music video sequence, the sequence I keep talking about, it's so hyper violent. It's nothing but violence. But I'm not scared, and I'm not thinking, oh my God, I'm enjoying it.
Yes.
And it's almost like a Tarantino movie at that point, you know?
No, well, I mean, that's kind of the Robert Zemeckis feel, is he loves that kind of like violence and effects and stuff like that. And like, you know, hooks going into people's faces.
Even when they see the ghosts You know?
Yeah,
what I
you're
mean?
right. It's not scary.
These ghosts are not scary, and they're
What
not.
ghosts?
They're just not meant to be
It's
scary.
Emily Browning and the captain.
Yeah, that's
and,
the thing.
No, we also have Italian Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
who's sexy ghost. She's not scary.
Sexy scary.
ghost.
Are you kidding? At one point, she kills somebody and then turns around to no one but the camera, and she's got spook face.
She's an old woman. Oh no, she was ugly the whole time.
Well, first of all, we're on the Arctic Warrior, Gabriel Byrne's tugboat. And they're searching for the ghost ship out in the waters. So this is.
Oh, we're still not at the ghost ship yet.
Oh, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there, man. First, we gotta meet all the characters one by one.
We've already met them.
Yeah.
Well, we go around there. Well, the Jack Ferriman's got to meet them all again.
Yeah.
So Carl Urban is like a dirty hippie. They constantly make cracks about how he never bathes.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. He just looks like
He's
a
still
normal
hot.
dude.
Like, Carl Urban's a good-looking guy, but he's dirtbag in this movie.
Everybody wears really big pants in this movie, and I don't mean like high pants. I just mean really
Big pants.
baggy pants.
Well, maybe because they knew that they would be moving around a lot. You know, it makes sense.
Yeah, when you go on a ghost ship, you don't wear restricting clothes.
Anyway, so a cool thing happens when they're
What's
about
the style at the time.
It was a cool thing happens when they're about to they don't see the ship coming. It's like it's not on the radar. Where is it?
Yeah, well-
and then it pops up just out of nowhere,
like a ghost.
And it has that big skull face, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
no,
but-
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
First, we cut to Santos, and he's in the bridge, and he's driving, and he's blasting this heavy metal music. Who's it? Bloodvein or Mudvayne?
It was like, I can't feel and even I was not enjoying it, and I love new metal.
Yeah, and I loved it.
And
was bad.
Isaiah Washington his head is being shaved. And he's like, these are dull. And I was like, I wonder if these dull clippers will play into the plot.
Nope.
Unfortunately not. I don't know what that line was.
Gabriel Byrne comes up to the bridge, and thankfully he's like, "Would you turn that fucking music off?" And he turns it off, and he's like, "Oh, the ship was there on the radar, but now it's not." It pops up again, and then they see this big ship. Gabriel Byrne recognizes it instantly and knows everything there is to know.
So does he know like thousands of ghost ships
Yeah.
and their stories?
He's a ship head, as they say.
A shithead. A shiphead.
He's into this kind of stuff, and he probably studied it in school.
I guess he knows the
Ghost Ship 101.
school.
like captain school.
I probably,
cool.
dude. Wouldn't that be cool if there was a course you could take on missing ships?
Yeah, but it would always be the same thing. It's like, then the ship went missing. It's like, okay, anything else
the reason
happened?
he knows
No, it's missing. We don't know any of the details.
Like, exactly. The reason he knows this one is because there was nothing.
It was a famous missing ship.
Why it
I
went
guess.
adrift, I guess.
I forget the name of it, but anyway, he knows like when it went missing, who was like on it, when it was built, blah 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 blah.
Anyway,
So,
so
yeah.
it pops up, and then the blonde guy almost gets crushed by the ship, and that was a little scary, just because that's a very visceral like thing that could happen. Like, you know, you're on the ship, and then it stops.
You're gonna be crushed by a ghost ship.
Yeah, he stops
Yeah.
quickly, and he falls over, and he almost gets crushed by the ship, and then he climbs up at the last
You know,
second.
I've
He's
seen-
fine, you guys. He's all
If
okay.
you ever watched that Deadliest Catch show,
Oh yeah. So speaking of Deadliest Catch, if you're a fan of that show, you're gonna love this movie. And also like how about Cold Water Cowboys, the Canadian version? I used to work on that show.
Yeah, she was one of the fishermen, one of the cold water
wait, so
cowboys
hauling
or
up crab is similar to walking around a ship slowly?
Yes, because visually the footage is like the same.
I don't know.
You know that, and like that like Whale Wars show, and
Whale
like,
Wars?
You didn't know they went around and stopped whalers.
Really?
I only know.
I thought it was like whales in actual wars due to their racial prejudice.
Oh, I thought it was like whales.
I only
fight.
know about it because they did a parody on South Park. And so there's lots of like fishing shows, and if you like that, you'll like this movie because it's boring shots of people on boats talking about the logistics of how are we going to get on and get off and pull things around.
I don't know. Those
Can we get to the ghosts already?
Well, okay, fine. They get onto the ship.
No. Colin needs to take us beat by beat. I don't know if we've met every character.
Hold on,
yet.
wait. Have I introduced Santos?
Yes.
Oh my God!
Santos.
It doesn't matter. He's
gonna
just some guy that blows up.
All right.
Oh, wait.
So they get on the ship, They got on the ghost ship, if you will. They're walking around.
I will.
They might see some ghosts. I think Juliana Margulies sort of sees.
She's the first one, yeah.
What's her name? Emily Browning's character.
She's like, I'm a ghost.
Yeah, and
Juliana's like, ghost, and her pants.
But Emily Browning is just like showing up. Like there's no like mist or fog or anything. She's just
standing there.
Wait, do you expect like mist or fog to appear when ghosts show up?
Yeah, I've seen Ghost Hunters and all those shows.
I don't know.
Oh, I've never seen any of them because I keep waiting for the one where they catch the ghost. Someone will tell me when they do, and then I'll check it out.
No, they don't. Spoiler.
Oh man. Okay, so they see the little girl ghost walking around.
I think she's just even standing there. It's not even that exciting.
Yeah.
Well, the Juliana is Epps is her name, the character's name. She's just like, I didn't see anything. Going crazy. And that kind of starts happening as they're like working on like fixing the ship, as they all like are seeing weird things, but it's not enough to make them actually like say anything. They just think, oh, my eyes are playing tricks on me.
Yeah, Isaiah Washington kind of hears the singer when he walks through the ballroom.
Yeah, and I think Gabriel Byrne sees like the whiskey bottle, like a full bottle of whiskey in a glass, and it's like, that doesn't look like it should be there.
He goes up to the captain's quarters and pretty much disappears for the rest of the movie up until the last 10 minutes.
It is established that Gabriel Byrne, Murph, he's got a alcohol problem.
Yeah, he doesn't drink.
So he's tempted by this bottle of scotch in the captain's quarters. Plus, he's the captain of the crew. So he's like, he's broing out with the Italian captain a little bit, who randomly just speaks English to him at one point, which is like...
Yeah, he's like, Mamma mia!
That don't make no sense.
How about the scotch?
That don't make no sense. So classic Italian
I swear, it feels like Gabriel Byrne goes up to this... captain's quarters, and he looks around for a bit, and I swear you don't see him for almost a half an hour.
Well, he goes there. I'd
forgotten he was in the movie, and he comes back later.
Yeah. So while they're exploring the ship, they see weird things like Epps is in like the empty pool, and she sees like gunshots in it, and it's like, well, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
Why would there just be gunshots?
Yeah,
it's like
but then the gunshots start bleeding. But they don't notice, it seems. So why are they bleeding?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was really just for the camera.
Yeah, it's so weird. And
that was an effect I thought looked bad.
Yeah, they make a big deal about it because as she knocks her head and passes out, and then Ferryman finds her, wakes her up, and they're sort of like climbing out and walking away as the pool is filling up slowly
back, guys.
From the bullet
Listen,
holes.
let's just do this effect. I know we missed our timing, but if they come back, maybe we'll get them again, and they'll fall in this blood pool.
Yeah, it's like, isn't
nobody
this scary? It's like, no, nobody knows. Nobody sees it or cares.
Yeah. Guy hearing the Italian singer, not really that scary. Seeing a lit cigarette with lipstick on it, kind of freaky. But the other two like bumbling guys, Carl Urban and blonde guy, they don't really see anything ghosty. They're just like the comic relief characters.
Yeah,
which is
kind of, but not really. Like saying they're the comic
there's
relief,
some comedic stuff involved.
It makes it sound funnier than it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing.
So do they find the gold before Santos meets his end?
Yes.
They do.
They go into like the cargo hold, and they find, I think it's like 9 cases of like gold bricks, basically, and all the serial numbers have been filed off, so they're untraceable. Blah blah blah.
And I think before that was when they found a bunch of dead bodies in a tank. And they're like, these are from like 2 weeks ago. So that's not suspicious at all, right, guys?
Yeah, and then Carl Urban finds like a modern digital watch somewhere.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we're not the first team who's been on this ghost ship. They find these like 9 cases of gold.
It's a lot of gold.
Oh yeah, it's a lot. And I think Gabriel Byrne says like $200-300 million. That's what the
depending
call is
on what the
be.
price of gold is, but yes.
Yeah.
April's a real gold stickler. She's like, wait a minute, based on the trend.
Yeah, I feel like the price of gold has gone down,
which is a fake standard that No Such Thing as a Bad Movie podcast does not believe in.
It may have gone down.
You do not speak for this podcast. So they're trying to bring the gold back, and then it cuts to Santos. He's in the like engine room of the Arctic Warrior. He's like fixing it, And
No, he's not. Is he in the Arctic Warrior?
Yeah.
I thought he was in the Ghost Ship.
No, he's in the Arctic Warrior. And this is the tugboat, by the way. And he's like talking to a picture of something, and you assume that it's his girlfriend or something. He's like, "Oh, I can't wait, baby, until I'm back home with you," and blah, blah, blah. And then it cuts, and it's just like a picture of a car. It's like I don't know, like a 57 Chevy.
You know what's kind of a screenplay fail with that a little bit is that earlier it's Epps and Quinn, creepy guy, who find the old car.
Yeah,
in the
why
room
does
with the
creepy
gold.
guy get so excited about that
Yeah,
car, considering what we learn later on?
Yeah, that should have been Santos, who was like, "Oh my God, it's an old car. I was a kid. I used to dream about this." Like, it took a characteristic from one character and put it on another one. And then it didn't make sense.
It was probably just misdirection.
Yeah.
I guess.
You know,
They
but
forgot whose names were what. So
exactly.
like
They
somebody
got
else
the
said.
names confused.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just like a search and replace that went wrong.
Yeah, exactly. No one noticed on set because they
Made it
don't
all
want
the
to
way
point
to
it
the
out.
final edit.
Yeah, so they're trying to get the ghost back, and like Santos is like, and then he's like fixing the motor, and the engine kind of sprays oil on his
It comes
face,
oil on his face.
and he like licks it, and he's like, "Oh, you're still sweet, baby." and then a ghost propane tank is like shown kind of being opened by a ghost. I don't know.
Yeah. So
Nothing.
can you explain to me how this explosion happened?
He's like got the propane. The ghost opens the propane tank.
Yeah, I got
which
that.
which is filling the engine room with propane.
Yeah.
And then he's on the intercom to Isaiah Washington, like, "All right, start the engine, fire it up."
And
So
then
what
Emily
engine?
Browning, the ghost, wakes up from her nap and she's like, "Oh shit! I forgot people were on this boat."
She says, "Hey, stop!"
Yeah, stop!
She's trying to
she should have
stop
said
it.
that
yeah.
like much earlier.
Yeah, and she says, "No, don't stop the ship." And then somebody tackles her.
Oh yeah, I think that was supposed to be Quinn.
Ferryman?
Ferryman.
Ferryman.
Ferryman just sounds
But
like
he's-
Faramir, and now I'm thinking of Lord of the Rings.
Well, he's the ferryman.
I get
yes!
it. Ferryman. Okay.
Right.
So
I think
anyway,
the script is airtight. I think that's what you guys.
so
He's like, he tackles you just see
Yeah,
somebody.
tackles a little
but it's
girl.
like she's a ghost. She's getting tackled, and then Isaiah Washington fires up the engine on the Arctic Warrior.
so the engine is like there's a combustion that happens in the engine that he's working on. I don't understand how engines work. Apparently,
You fire it up, and the spark plug goes and ignites
and
the
the
gas.
because
spark
the
ignites the
entire
gas,
room.
and
Yeah,
then
but the
Santos
whole-
is like, "Here we go again," and then he blows up.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he smells the propane.
He's like, "Oh shit!"
yeah, great moment. And
Cut to
Isaiah
a CGI
Washington,
explosion.
he would have been dead. He was on the ship during this
Yeah, he was on the
humongo
bridge.
explosion, and he gets out with just like
Humongo.
a cut on his
Yeah,
forehead.
Juliana Margulies jumps off the ghost ship to rescue him, and he's just floating like he's stuffed with like.
As we know in this
Foam
movie,
or
you can
something.
float on the water and survive like anything.
Hey, just go on your back, April. That's how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
You do the dead man's float. Just
That's
go
why,
on
yeah.
your face.
So they're really pissed off because they lost one of their own. Gabriel Byrne takes it especially hard. This is where he disappears from the movie. He goes to the captain's quarters and just hangs out there.
You don't even see him going there. He's just gone.
He's just in there. Like, he shows up a little later, and then he succumbs to temptation.
You know what this movie's missing? It's like a
drinks
sea
alcohol.
captain, like a William Dafoe who's like, "Arr, welcome to the ghost ship."
Yeah, who knows everything?
Yeah.
Or like, an
Yeah.
old. Yeah, he
Yeah,
knows
he's
all
like
the
a
old
demon.
tales.
Oh yeah, he's like a guy who hunts ghost ship. He's like, "Arr, I rate this a 7 out of 10 on
He
the
should
ghost
be the
ship
guy.
scale."
He should be the crew member who like knows all the stuff about whatever. Well, I heard a tale about the blah 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 blah.
Yeah, stay within the demon circle. Yeah, that would have been more fun.
Yeah, but this is a different time in the 2000s, early
You keep
2000s.
saying this, April. This was
We can't have anything fun.
That was like 14,
that.
14 years ago, wasn't it?
It was a
different?
different kind of fun.
When did the Blair Witch come out? That was a scary movie.
Yeah, man.
A 90s, I think.
Yeah, that was like,
Like
late
late
90s. Yeah, so this
This movie, we should point out, what's interesting about it is, and by that I mean bad, is that no one finds out this is a ghost ship until like the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, they all think they're seeing things, and a lot of them. Well, I mean, what's his name? Kerry Washington?
Isaiah
Washington. He realizes he's talking to a ghost like right before he dies. So it's like,
but he's like, I'll still have sex with you.
It isn't right before he dies. He goes back to the ballroom.
I mean, not right before.
He goes back to the ballroom, which is actually a pretty neat scene. And then like time rewinds around him. It's like a 360 on him.
That looked so cool.
It actually looked pretty good.
Great
it's like,
effect.
hello, Captain America. Oh, to have this last dance.
Well, can you explain to me how something like that is done? Like, obviously, they got a bunch of tables and wrecked them with strings and then reversed the film. Is that what happens?
Yeah, so he would be shot on motion control, which would probably be like a 360 around him. So they can repeat the camera move. They would do it once with the, I guess, furniture and stuff being destroyed. And then they would shoot it backwards for him. So shoot it like forward, for him, backwards on the other stuff. So when they reverse one, they're kind of synced up so they can play the destruction footage backwards and then him sort of acting.
So they shot him in the scene? Because he looked like he was
he's on green screen.
He's green screen, yeah. It's not the best.
It's not the best compositing
on him, but the room itself. I love like things going backwards.
Yeah, it's
and
pretty
like
cool.
and like glass is like flying back up to the ceiling.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa! Like they really shot this stuff. It wasn't just a big CGI mess. Obviously, it was aided by CG, but I felt the practicalness a little bit.
Definitely,
you know what I mean?
Like, you've seen it done better, say in like Doctor Strange with that whole sequence where just like everything around them.
Or maybe Tenet. We'll have to see Tenet to see it.
We'll see it in theaters in 2027.
Yeah. To see a reverse whatever action scene.
Yeah, I thought that April was leading us to like, and many scenes are like this in the new Christopher Nolan film Tenet, brought to you by the closed theaters in Toronto, Canada right now.
Yeah, we're closed big time. Not that I was going to go anyway, but release it on video.
On video,
VOD.
Nolan's like only on VHS.
Yeah, Tenet on VHS. Yeah.
Video disc special release.
That's how you're supposed to rewind and replay it, because you can't really do that on DVD or Blu-ray players.
Yeah.
But anyway, I liked this next sequence. After like Santos dies and they decide, okay, we're gonna actually keep going. We're gonna try and get the gold.
We have to repair the
we
ghost
have to
ship.
fix the ship. Yeah, because their ship blew up.
Because it is sinking. So what they kind of revealed that there's a hole in the side of the ghost ship. It's sinking, and then the current is going to bring it into these rocks, which it hit before.
Yeah,
so
they
have
to
to
around.
They've got to fix the patch. They got to patch it up, and then they got to fix the engine and get it going.
Every time we say ghost ship, someone should take a shot. You will be dead within 5 minutes.
Oh God, I wish I saw ghosts in this ship.
So like at this point they're all doing different things and there's some fun intercutting. Like I do appreciate it's not just one person sees something creepy then another person sees it. They're intercutting them together.
I mean, Carl Urban is just chowing down on food that he found in the ghost ship.
Carl Urban and Blonde Guy are eating maggots, and that's what's supposed to be scary.
I mean, I have questions. Why are they making Carl Urban do this? Does he realize he's eating maggots at one point?
We don't know.
No, he just chows down. So who's this for?
No, the scene opens and they're doing rock, paper, scissors, I think.
Yeah.
And so he loses a bet and he's got to eat, like, they find these tins of food that have been around since probably the 60s.
Since the ship was,
it's a tin of beans. And then, like, he's like, yeah, you lost. You got to eat it. So
Carl Urban eats it and he's like, oh, this tastes pretty good. And then it cuts to a close-up that it's maggots. But Carl Urban never reacts, so he's like, oh yeah, these are good. That's
he does.
So that's what I asked. No. I think that they were seeing good food, that they were tricked.
Because he's like, this is really good. And then the other guy starts eating, and then they're both eating. And then eventually they realize, and then Carl Urban's like, oh, and he's like spits out all these maggots.
Maybe I looked away. I thought they just chowed down and they're like, this is delicious.
Yeah, it was for a second. And then, so it's like the Lost Boys, you know, and he's like, you're eating maggots, Michael.
So they were tricked by the ghost into not seeing the maggots.
I think so.
No, okay, well, we won't spoil what's about to be revealed, but somebody in that room was tricking Carl Urban.
Sure. Yeah.
And why?
What
is the point of this?
Yeah, what was the point? Were they going to die from eating maggots? I don't think you can die from eating maggots.
When the reveal happens, it's like he could have just got them to the boat and just killed them all instantly, and his mission would have been accomplished.
I know, but then we wouldn't have a movie, right? No, okay, we'll get into the motivations of the villain later.
They have to do something first.
Yeah, but they don't all do that, do they?
They do.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
They all have to commit a sin in the ghost ship.
What? I thought it was just they have sin in them because all adults do.
No, so okay.
Okay, we're getting
well,
ahead.
first of all, we're going to get to the scene that you like. So basically, Juliana Margulies, she goes to one of the cabins, I guess, and we realize that it's Emily Browning's cabin.
Yeah, and they have like a full-on conversation.
Emily Browning's skeleton is hanging from the ceiling, and Emily Browning just shows up, ghost. Again, none of the ghosts are scary in this movie.
Yeah, and they just talk.
They just have a normal conversation.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm a ghost. You know, I was on the ship. I was meeting my parents. He doesn't want me talking to you. He's afraid. Blah, blah, blah.
I think because she didn't sin,
that's why.
that he can't
That's
control
why.
her.
Because he can't control ghosts who didn't sin, and she was too young to have.
So is this like a Bill and Ted kind of thing where essentially everyone on the planet Earth will go to hell because they've sinned in some way based on those 10 commandments?
No,
Right?
I think that our villain has to mark them, and then
He has to mark them, and they have to be on the boat.
I don't think they have to be.
Did he mark
do.
everyone that was killed in the opening?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Ooh, hot!" And then he
I
like, marks
guess
them all.
we didn't see it, but I guess he did.
No,
It's a very
because
long and complicated process.
no, the people that were cut in half,
Yeah.
they weren't marked as far as I know.
but they're going to hell as well.
I
'Cause-
don't know.
At the end, you see him go to heaven.
You see them trapped and being released.
You know what? It's a little complicated.
Let's just go to the flashback first.
Okay, so before the flashback happens, Gabriel Byrne is seeing Santos everywhere because he's really upset about Santos. Because he's like, I
He
lost
was
one of my own.
favorite crew member.
Yeah, I lost one of my own. It was my responsibility. And he has a little convo with the captain, who just shows that he's in the captain's quarters.
Again,
and
just sitting down, not scary.
As I said earlier, he starts drinking alcohol, so he's off the wagon. And the captain just starts
Is it
speaking-
on the wagon or off the wagon?
Exactly. So the captain just starts speaking English, and he's like, well, on my ship, whatever it's called, we picked up another ship that was set adrift, the Lorelei, I think it was called.
Yes.
And there was
one
only
survivor.
one person on it and a bunch of boxes. So that's where the gold came from, this other ship. And so you're like, and then cuts away, and then we get to what's her name? Linda Margulies. It's not Linda.
Juliana Margulies.
Juliana Margulies. So she finds Isaiah
Browning.
Washington dead. We kind of glossed over it, but he after the cool 360 scene, he's like about to have sex with the Marilyn Monroe lady, and he falls down an elevator shaft.
Wait,
Onto,
that's so confusing. It's weird that she didn't ghost him and be like, roar, and attack him. She had to get him in position in front of the elevator shaft so she could then push him over.
He was in mounting position.
No, he was going to grab her, and then she disappeared, and he fell through her.
Whoa!
And then lands on rebar.
Yeah, and then she
he's-
turned into the camera and she got spook face.
Yeah.
which makes no sense.
So we're almost at the end, right, guys?
Yes. Well, we're at an hour and 10 minutes into the movie. It's an hour and a half movie. So I checked. So we finally got to, as what I call the music video sequence, because it basically turns into a music video. It's a 4-minute sequence. I counted 4 minutes. And if you could put a scene from a movie, a sequence from a movie in your top 10, this would be in my top 10 of all time.
Why?
And it's
Oh my god!
and it sucks because it's not a good movie. This movie is terrible, but
the scene is so goofy.
no, it's not. It's cool.
It's not cool. It's just like
It's
da-da,
cool to
da-da.
me.
It's literally like a Zucker Brothers gag. It's just people continually killing each other.
I disagree. It is, but I found it very.
It's like I'm the
emotional.
villain. I killed you. Oh wait, there's another villain, and they killed me.
Well, also the funny thing, not funny, but the unfortunate thing about this sequence is you go back and you find out what actually happened on this ship, and I wish they just made a movie about that, because it's a much better story than a bunch of ugly salvagers finding a ship.
Ooh, but, ouch. Gabriel Byrne doesn't deserve to be called ugly.
No, you're right. He's not. He's sexy.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So basically what happens is they picked up the Lorelei and it had gold on it. And then the members of the crew each start defecting because they want the gold for themselves. So they somehow get under this impression that they have to kill everybody on the ship so they can get it all. They come up with a convoluted plan to use a wire to cut everybody in half who's on the dance floor.
Not
they
just a wire.
People.
Yeah. They also shoot them?
They shoot people execution style in the pool. They go around to the cabins and get everybody. And then the bad guys each start betraying each other, a la the opening bank robbery scene in The Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Much like that.
I want to give through all the beats of betrayal because they're very funny. So first off, we have... They get the money, and there's a group of guys. They go to the gold, but one of them stands back with Italian Marilyn Monroe. Yeah. And the one who stayed back, he shoots all the guys. He's like,
with a machine gun.
Then they kiss Italian Marilyn Monroe, and she kills him too with a gun, right?
He turns around and she kills him, and then she turns around and Mystery Man comes towards her.
It's Ferryman.
They
Jack
make
Ferryman.
out, and then a hook releases from its
the ceiling,
and impales her.
Yeah, it swings and kind of catches her on the jaw and lifts her up.
It's like that. It's like the opening of The Naked Gun when O.J. Simpson keeps hurting himself. He's like, no.
It's like that.
Anyway, so this sequence, back in early 2000s, this was like an early example of speed down, slow up, or in the business we call them speed ramps. And I think it kind of came to a culmination in 300, and that was later. That was 2006. That was when everybody kind of became super aware of it, and then Zack Snyder's seemingly been using them ever since. But they were around a lot back then, but this was an early example of it, so we weren't sick of it yet. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a really, really effective use of it. Also, I haven't talked about the song yet. So it was done by John Frizzle, who is the guy who did the score. He's the composer.
Oh, okay.
So he's singing on it and everything. And he did some scores for these types of movies in the early 2000s and the 90s, and I think he does other stuff now, maybe video game stuff. He's not a famous composer or anything, but really good score. And I think this scene is really effective because there's lots of fast edits. It's a good use of the speed ramps. It's also we see Emily Browning as a ghost, looking back on what
she's
really happened.
She's kind of watching herself and seeing what happened to her.
And Epps is there too, and she's reacting to it.
What I do like about it is it tells so much story in just 4 minutes, and it tells more story than is in the rest of the goddamn movie.
And it does it with so much visual style that is completely missing from the rest of the movie.
Yeah, and that's when you can see it's all right, this guy's a music video commercial director.
And because I work on commercials, people are still wanting to put speed ramps in commercials, and I don't particularly like them now. I think that they're very overused.
No speed ramps. They're banned.
Yeah, they should be banned in commercials. They can work though, and this is a perfect example of that. So my next question is, do you think if someone just watched this scene, it would have the same impact? Maybe not though, because it answers some of the questions in the movie. Why are there bullet holes in the pool? Why are there bullet holes in the car? I guess that's about it.
It kind of feels like the entire movie was building up to this point, and this is the sort of big, okay, finally we're going to find out what the hell happened, who the kind of mystery man is. It's Jack Ferryman.
Yeah, and then you get quick flashbacks, a montage of him acting suspicious throughout the movie, which it was so obvious that he was the bad guy throughout the entire movie.
Something's odd about him. So basically, he does a big exposition scene with Juliana Margulies. Gabriel Byrne dies.
Not until Gabriel Byrne dies.
Yeah.
But by the way, for all you listeners out there, if you do just want to watch that scene, it's on YouTube. I think it's called Ghost Ship: The Little Girl's Story.
I would say just watch the opening scene.
No, this is a masterpiece, and I'm not even joking.
I love how much April loved this scene. This is her Boondock Saints.
It is, and I liked Boondock Saints too, if you can imagine.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's
so good. It's so good.
It basically so Ferryman, Gabriel Byrne dies. They lock him in an aquarium, and then somebody fills it up with water. He drowns. So Ferryman reveals that he's like a soldier of the devil. He's like Spawn. He lived a life of sin, and then when he died and went to hell, the devil was like, "All right, you can go free, but you have to help me out. You have to fill a ship with souls, the souls of sinners." So he basically travels around and uses this gold to get people, I don't know, to awaken the greed in people.
Oh, so that's supposed to be them sinning, is the gold thing?
No, so it will inspire them to murder and cheat and lie to one another.
Okay.
So he just uses the gold as like a kind of way to get people to...
I wonder if there was like a better draft where like each of them did like a separate sin. I'm sure maybe the screenwriter was like, oh, Isaiah Washington, he has lust.
Yeah, he's the only one who
well,
like...
And the car guy also has lust. And Gabriel Byrne gives into his alcohol.
Yeah, drinks.
No, I think, they did.
What about the two goofballs? What do they do? Gluttony?
Gluttony. Yeah, there you go.
Oh my God.
Carl Urban gets crushed in like machinery.
Yeah, very unceremoniously. There's just like a, what's that called? Like a water wheel.
It's like they fired Carl Urban and they're like, we got to kill him without showing his face.
I don't even know I can't even remember how fake Dennis Leary died.
It's off screen. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so he has a showdown.
He commits murder.
With Ferryman, and Ferryman's like, you're disgusting.
I have questions.
Okay.
Wait, I have questions. So this demon, he's like maritime division of like the soul armies, right? He would love to be anywhere else, but they're like, sorry, you picked a short straw. You only do ghost-based soul.
You only do ship-based souls.
Yeah. So I laughed so hard when it was revealed, because he's basically like schlubby middle management when it comes to like soul repossession.
Yeah, and he keeps referring to the bosses aren't going to be happy.
Yeah, and he's so bad at his job. He's been working on this contract since the 60s.
Yeah, for 40 years.
He has telekinesis and he barely even uses it in the movie.
Yeah. He just ends up tackling
and
Emily
also
Browning.
He still expresses pain even though it's been revealed, like he's immortal. He can get shot. He got blown up and then he shows up again.
She stabs him with a harpoon and he's like, oh
yeah, exactly.
He's bleeding and everything. It's like, what is happening?
I will say though, like when he gets to at least be like evil man, he's a good actor. Like he's showing good charisma. It was very lacking in the first 3/4 of the movie.
Yeah, I think that was like intentional, but it didn't work. It just sort of came off as him not being a very good actor.
Plus, he's kind of like a smaller blonde. He's not a very imposing person. I think that maybe that's the point.
He reminds me of the guy from the original Hellboy, the main character.
Oh,
Jonathan Rhys Meyers.
Is that his name?
I think that's what his name is. Yeah. The really boring character that studio went, you have to have someone like... to be the entry point. Like,
it's the audience surrogate. And then he was so boring, they got rid of him in the second.
Well, in one line in Hellboy 2, he's like, he's in Alaska now.
Well, Ferryman kind of was the audience surrogate because he gets to ask boat questions.
Yeah,
even though we already know that he knows probably plenty about boats. So one more thing I want to say about him is that when we find Gabriel Byrne in the tank, he's got a picture of him from the 60s and he's wearing like the same jacket that he is now. Like, yes, maybe fashions in the 60s weren't that different, but
style never goes.
It was like a J. Crew jacket.
Guys, I'm going to blow your mind. The actor who plays Ferryman, Desmond Harrington, has acted alongside Dennis Leary in Rescue Me.
I'm not surprised.
I'm seeing double for Dennis Leary.
Again, a television actor.
Do you think he kept like cracking jokes with this actor in this movie? I remember we were on like Rescue Me and then like, oh, fuck, man.
So wait, this actor is also in Manhunt. Wait, is Manhunt that David Fincher show?
No, that's called Mindhunter.
Yeah. Manhunt is like the ripoff show.
Wait, so Desmond Harrington, is he British?
Desmond Harrington.
That's the most British name I've ever heard.
He's from Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah, I know he's not. I didn't think he was because he's been American in everything I've seen him in, but... Anyway,
she blows up the ship.
And he blows up. Like you see body parts fly.
I think you see his
It was pretty funny.
I think you see his spinal column fly towards camera. And then
wait, you guys skipped so much stuff though.
What? Did we?
Yeah, because you guys are at the end of the movie, right, where he blows up.
Yeah. I don't think we missed it. Well, I mean, they have like
what about
a
him
showdown.
morphing though, and being
Him
like,
what?
"Don't
Him
you
morphing.
think I'm this person?" And then he morphs.
Yeah, he turns into the blonde guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
But it's like, you could do this the whole movie?
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
don't
god. Again, he's really crappy at using his powers.
That was
Yeah.
some like T2 style effects where it's like, yeah, you figured it out.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's pretty lame. So she blows up the ship. His spinal column again. He's
Yeah.
like a demon. What
He goes out like a chump, like so easily.
multiple times.
I know.
And
This is why I'm so bad at my job.
yeah. So
It's taken him
the
so long.
ship is sinking. I think Juliana Margulies is she swimming through the boat?
She's swimming for a really long time, and then I think Emily Browning like points to a hole.
She points to a hole off screen, and then there is
And
the
I would like to
funniest,
point out this is the
This
we
is the
skipped
funniest
the
shot.
whole point of the podcast, which is what
Okay.
our favorite things are, which I think we forgot to do last week as well.
Well, I did. I've already said
No,
off
we
the top. April did. This is your thing, right?
This is my thing. This is my favorite scene because it brings like beauty to the movie.
I rewound.
The director wants tears streaming down the cheeks of everybody watching this film as all the ghosts we've learned to love arise up to heaven over like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's very, very long. But when Emily Browning points off screen so Juliana Margulies can exit the boat, the rear end of the boat is tipped up into the air. And
Like
so
the
you
Titanic.
see a wide shot of the tail end of the boat with the propellers. And it's probably like 150 feet off and you see a tiny, tiny Juliana Margulies falling from this boat, and I had to rewind it. I was like, wait a minute, was that her?
I never noticed that before.
It looks like they just did like a little cardboard cutout of her. It's like,
Yeah, I know. It was really funny.
she falls like 100 feet into this water,
And then
she would be
she's
dead.
floating on a trunk, a suitcase,
Yeah.
and she lives. But yeah, the whole soul's ascending up. It reminded me of
funny.
the Haunting,
Yeah.
Haunting movie with Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Because the CGI was at that level, and this movie again, there's some good practical effects in this. There's some okay VFX, and then there's some good VFX, but like.
It runs the gamut of
And
good
then
to
this
bad.
one is like, what the fuck? It's like
Yeah.
they ran out of budget.
Some of the ship stuff looks
It's
very
not
scale modeling.
It's not that they ran out of budget. It's just like such a poorly designed like idea for a scene at the end of the movie.
She's
It's
like
no one wants
swimming.
to see these ghosts just ascend to heaven.
Yeah, and she's like swimming up, and there's like these ghosts in the water, like swimming, but they're
And they're all like
blue.
smiling and winking. The only thing that
Yeah.
was missing was like the clouds forming the face of Gabriel Byrne, and he like
Yeah.
winks at her.
No, just like all of the crew members looking back down at her, giving her a thumbs
Thank
up.
you for you're free now.
So why is it that just because the ship is sunk, that their souls are free?
Yeah, wouldn't the ghosts be like, oh, they're like trapped in the ship?
No,
Yeah.
because so the ferryman, this is the way he explained it. He has to collect the souls on this boat.
Okay.
Yes.
So the goal
He needs
is
to
like
get to a
is
certain
the
number,
bait.
and then they all go to hell.
Yeah,
Yeah, and on the boat.
on the boat.
Yes.
The boat
But
has
wouldn't they
to
still be
on
trapped
the
on the
water.
boat
Yeah,
if it's sunk?
he has to collect a certain amount of souls, and then the boat goes to hell with the souls, and he can go free. He can
Okay.
like
Well, can someone then explain to me the ending? Because I don't get it.
Okay, so at the end, our hero gets picked up, she's put in an ambulance, and she looks through the window and she sees all of her crew members.
Okay,
And,
see, I wasn't sure if that's
it's-
who they were. Because they
And
didn't
it's-
look like them.
And it's Dennis Leary, and they're getting back on the boat dressed exactly the same way they were when they did it in the 60s.
and they're carrying
And they're
the
carrying
gold.
the gold. But I thought that they were leaving the crew, like the ship that picked her up.
No, they were getting back on it. They were
yeah,
going
they're,
up
or
the
they're
ramp.
getting back on a ship, not specifically the ship that she was on. They're just doing it again. Because listen, he's in the Maritime Demon Division. He can only do ship-based things.
Because like the crew, it didn't look like her crew. It looked like their stand-ins or something.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure. I
You
was
couldn't
like,
really see their faces.
yeah, I was
so-
like, oh, is that her crew?
which
And I'm like,
means maybe they shot that after they
like we need
those
another
people.
Sting or
It's
something.
possible, yeah. Because I'm like, is that supposed to be Isaiah Washington? It doesn't look like
I mean,
him.
that's such a popular ending to horror movies. Like, like The Guest did it, like a bajillion, like probably like Jason movies did it. Like, oh, I'm fine. I'm in the ambulance. Oh no, he's still out there.
And then he kind of like looks at her. So the idea is he's got his new crew. They're boarding the ship with the gold again, and he's got to start from scratch, I guess, because he lost all those souls.
I guess.
So what?
Yeah,
is he
he's
gonna-
like, here I go again. Literally the same playbook. Like, you know what real insanity is? Just doing the same thing over and over again, hoping it will change.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
so what?
That's punishment.
So he's going to be on there for another 40 years.
Well, and maybe he can do better.
No,
this
maybe he'll get it
time.
this time. Yeah, maybe that metal wire will cut. Use the same thing every
Just
time.
die.
How many souls did he need? Did he even say?
It didn't say.
Yeah.
666, I assume.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, good point. So that's Ghost Ship.
Wait, I like to point out that a lot of the actors were angry how the film turned out because they were promised Titanic meets The Shining, which sounds like an awful movie. If you say your movie's going to be like The Shining, that means it's going to be boring and nothing happens in it. That's not a knock to The Shining. That's just a knock to anyone trying to imitate it.
If you take this movie completely at surface level, I guess
Surface.
I know. I guess it's a little bit of
Yeah.
Titanic meets The Shining, but you should not categorize it that way. You should categorize it as a movie that has a lot of really, really good potential, but it essentially squanders it with a boring story and not very interesting characters.
But also one of the greatest sequences in movie history.
Exactly.
So the opening sequence.
Justin, was your favorite thing the ghosts floating up to heaven?
Oh, yeah, the ghost floating up to heaven, showing us that there's a little bit of optimism in our lives.
Yeah, of course.
Before ripping it away, right before credits roll, set to the music of Mudvayne.
Mudvayne, and
Oh,
just
it
kept
was
going.
Mudvayne. I was hoping for like a ghost ship rap, like, you're on the
Yeah.
ghost ship. You're never gonna get off.
Oh, it's like LL Cool J for some reason. He's doing his like Deep Blue Sea rap.
Deep
But,
Blue Sea.
Deepest
Just-
Bluest.
Did you notice that the end credits were old movie style with the cards
Yep.
and not the crawl? Mm-hmm. It's the little things, right? Anyway, that's Ghost Ship. I can't even say I would recommend that you watch the whole movie because I feel like you'd be disappointed, but it has one of the best sequences I've ever seen. So maybe watch that, and then if you are confused,
Every time you say that, I'm gonna add this to the list of like April statements. It's like commandments. It's like Thinner, the best Stephen King movie. Ghost Ship features one of the greatest sequences in movie history.
Well, I've loved it since high school, and I haven't seen it in obviously a long time. I think I had it on PVR and would just like watch it every once in a while, just without watching the whole movie, obviously.
Yeah.
I was just it has not lost faith in my brain, but I was hoping that because when I saw this movie originally, I was like, this movie's bad. But now I've seen so many bad movies since. I thought maybe I would have more of an appreciation for it, but it's really just like the bad parts are really just boring. And it's even though there's some good stuff in the movie, it's not that great. Anyway, it's on iTunes if you want to rent it, or that sequence is on YouTube, the little girl's story. So yeah, I guess that's it for Ghost Ship.
Yeah, just make sure it's uploaded by A@Mansky forever.
Yeah. And if you want to email the podcast, we're at no such thing as a bad movie @gmail.com. We're on Twitter at no such thing pod. And if you want to support us on Patreon, patreon.com/no such thing as a bad movie. And we get a little bonus episode every 2 weeks if you're on the $5 level. On the $2 level, you can be submitted to the Bad Movie Lottery to pick an episode every couple months or so. And next week, the bonus episode, we're keeping it in the Halloween world. We did Hubie Halloween, an Adam Sandler classic.
Oh my God. Soon to be
Oh
classic.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, soon to be classic.
It could be. And if you want to tweet at me or check me out on Instagram, I'm at April@Mansky.
You can follow me on Twitter at DeCluJ, DECLOUX on Letterboxd, Justin DeClue. You can listen to me every week on the Bay Street Video Podcast or the Important Cinema Club. And if you like good movies, you should check out GoldNinjaVideo.com because I just released through that company Matt Farley's Don't Let the River Beast Get You, which has been previously featured on No Such Thing as a Bad Movie.
Previous episode.
And it's a big special edition with 2 new commentary tracks, interviews with all the cast members, a feature film directed by those guys that has never been released anywhere, not even on the internet. It's only available on this disc.
Could it be the conclusion to the Druid trilogy?
You would be correct. Druids everywhere.
I can't wait. I got my order in. Plus, like, you know, everybody should just see River Beast because it's a great movie.
Oh,
but,
so
you know,
good.
We've sung its praises many a time.
You can follow me on Twitter, SGTZIMA. That's it. And then we all worked on it was the ending for Best of the Worst for Red Letter
that's
Media
right.
this week.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the episode number it was, but it's the one with Twin Dragon Encounter.
Yeah, it was really fun. So Justin helped shoot. April did some color grading and sound syncing.
And Colin acted just for a little Easter egg at the end of the episode.
I had to eat horrible food.
Yes.
Someone asked me earlier in the week, Justin, when are you going to appear on Red Letter Media? And I wrote back, they don't even know I exist. And then a few days later when I posted that, someone was like, oh, see, they do know you exist. And I went, no, they still don't know I exist.
Well, at least they know your name, right?
Yes, that's
Justin
right.
from
Justin.
Canada.
Exactly.
That's right.
Anyway, we'll see you next week for some more spooky content because we love Halloween over here, right, guys?
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Woo,
talking about.
Halloween.
Yeah. I'm a 8-foot man skiing. Come on, don't you remember from the beginning of the
I
episode?
remember. It sounds like you're stating some weird, surreal, like
not good.
non sequitur.
And I come up with something better next week.
I'm Justin.
Jack-o'-lantern. How about that?
Yeah, jack-o'-lantern, dancing the jig de clue.
I'm a coffin Cunningham.
There you go. Yeah,
You're coughing, all
riding
right.
Yeah. Oh no. True terror.
And there's no such thing as a bad movie.
Ooh.